This episode is dedicated to David and Melissa, my wonderful care group leaders. Joy and Olives is a podcast all about living with joy, and truly my Jesus stories will hopefully bring you encouragement and show you what it's like, to do life with Him, to walk with Him, to be led by Him. I was taking a walk this morning, and when I was about a mile away from my home, I caught a glimpse of this condominium complex called Monterey Park Condominiums. Now, if you know me, you'll know why that's significant. Because in Los Angeles, I grew up in a cute suburb called Monterey Park. That place had the best boba, dim sum. In fact, if any of you are planning a trip to LA, I highly recommend Monterey Park because it's different. I mean, it's a really unique enclave, and you get to try all kinds of Asian food. I mean, we have everything from Myanmar's food to Uyghur food. I mean, you name it. Uyghur food, I'm so sorry. Actually, that restaurant was in Alhambra, which is right next door to Monterey Park. But, within driving distance, you could get pretty much any kind of Asian food you'd want. So I was very blessed in that way. But about a year ago, my mom and I were still living with my grandmother in Singapore, but we knew that we had to find our own place. And I remember one day I was waiting in front of a mall, and there was a bus, right? And this bus on its side said Monterey Park Condominium. And I just remember thinking, what in the world? Why is there a condominium complex named after my hometown in Los Angeles? Like, what are the odds, right? And I came to find out later that there are actually quite a few condominium complexes in Singapore named after cities in Los Angeles, which is quite hilarious. So anyways, I took a look at the condominium, and I told my mom as a joke, I was like, hey mom, how hilarious would it be if we rented a place in Monterey Park condominium? Like, it would be as though we never moved away from Monterey Park. So my mom laughed, and we went and took a look at the condominiums, but unfortunately no one was renting out at the price that we wanted. So in the back of my mind, I always kind of wished that, one day I would live here. Because actually it is a beautiful condominium complex. And you know what? We forgot about it, and we put it at the back of our minds. And about 5 months later, we were totally about to give up on our house search because everything was really expensive in Singapore. And my mom happened to meet the mother of our care group leader, and this woman was just happened to bring up the fact that she had a home not too far away that was newly renovated. No one had lived in it for at least 5 years. And I think she actually mentioned 7 years, if I'm not wrong. And she wanted to rent it out only to people she could trust. And actually, at the time, she barely knew my mom and I. But when my mom and I asked if she would be willing to rent to us, she brought us to view her home the very next day. And that home is the home that I'm living in now. And I'm actually sitting in the living room now sharing this story. And it was so cool this morning that as I went on my walk, when I caught a glimpse of Monterey Park Condominium, I just had to laugh to myself because that place was, it was the place that I dreamed of living in. not realizing that only a mile away was an apartment better suited for my mom and I at a much better price. And yeah, it was already in the back of God's mind the entire time. So yeah, even though we had to wait about 5 months, but now we got something much better. So, sometimes God might have placed this desire in your heart. Maybe you're looking for a house. Maybe you're looking for a new job, and you have an ideal job. Maybe it's a specific home. Maybe it's a specific job. I just want you to not to be discouraged. Go after, pursue it, but ask the Lord for his counsel. And if the doors don't open there, that's okay. Because trust me, there will be something much better suited for you that's maybe in the vicinity of that home, or maybe it's a job that's not quite your dream job, but it's similar, and it's the one that God has prepared for you. And trust me, you want the one that God has prepared for you, because it will be so perfect. It will be exceedingly and abundantly above all that you could ask for or imagine. So don't give up, okay? Don't give up, because what God has planned for you is always, always good. And I want to end with this amazing verse, Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly beyond all that we ask or think, according to the power that works within us. That was my verse of the day yesterday. I actually have this little yearly calendar where I have a Bible verse to read every day, and it's right by my bed. And I encourage you, to have something like this right next to your bed. When you wake up or right before you go to sleep, look at that verse, meditate on it, think about it, and see it come to pass in your own life.